You check the ticket 3 times, then 4. Then you sit down on the kitchen floor because your legs stop working. It's 11:47 p.m. on a Wednesday. The numbers on the television match the numbers on the piece of paper in your hand. All 5 white balls. The Powerball. $1.03 billion advertised jackpot. You know enough to know that number isn't real. The cash option is $465 million before taxes. Federal takes 37% at the top bracket. Your state takes another 8%. What lands in your account is closer to $280 million. It's still a number your brain cannot hold. You sit on the floor for 2 hours. You don't call anyone. You don't cry. You just look at the ticket and try to remember your name. You are 38 years old. You manage a regional logistics account for a company most people haven't heard of. You make $74,000 a year. You have $11,200 in savings. You bought the ticket because the jackpot crossed $1 billion, and your coworker said it was stupid not to. Quick pick, $2. Tuesday, afternoon at the gas station across from your office. You didn't check the numbers until Wednesday night because you forgot you bought it. You know 3 things by Thursday morning. 1. Do not sign the back of the ticket yet. Lawyers first, then sign. 2. Do not tell anyone. Not your mother, not your brother, not the woman you've been seeing for 6 months. 3. You have 180 days to claim. You have time. What you need is a team. You take the ticket to the bank on Friday and rent the smallest safety deposit box they have. The teller asks if you need help with anything else. You say no. You drive home. You do not sleep that night. You lie in bed and stare at the ceiling and try to understand that the life you had on Tuesday is over and there's no version of the rest where you go back. You call a lawyer on Monday. Not a lawyer you know. A firm 3 states away that specializes in lottery winners. You found them by searching at 3 a.m. on a laptop you bought that afternoon for cash. They charge a $50,000 retainer. You pay it with a cashier's check. They bring in a CPA, an estate planning attorney, a security consultant, and a wealth manager before you've even claimed the prize. They tell you what happens next. Your state does not allow anonymous claims. Your face will be on the news. Your name will be in the papers. Within 72 hours of the press conference, every person you have ever met will know. Within 72 hours after that, every person they have ever met will also know. You cannot stop this. You can only prepare for it. The cash option lands in your new trust account 6 weeks after the ceremony. $278.4 million after federal and state withholding. You have signed documents you barely understand. The trust owns everything. You are a beneficiary, not an owner. This is for liability. This is for the lawsuits that are coming. Because lawsuits are coming. Your lawyer says this like she's telling you the weather. The first letter arrives on day 9. A woman in Ohio claims you were married to her son in 2009 and abandoned him and owe back support. You have never been to Ohio. The letter is notarized. Your lawyer files for dismissal. Legal fees, $14,000. The second letter arrives on day 11. A man says you stole his lottery ticket. He has witnesses. The witnesses are his brother and his cousin. Dismissal, $9,000. By the end of the first month, you have 47 letters. By the end of the second, 312. Your lawyer has hired 2 paralegals just to triage them. You stop reading them. You sign blanket authorizations. Your life becomes a wall of paper that other people process on your behalf. Your brother calls on day 3 after the announcement. He needs $400,000. His business is failing. He's had a plan for years. You're the only one who can save him. He uses the word family 11 times in one conversation. You tell him you'll think about it. He calls back 4 hours later, drunk, screaming. You block his number. He shows up at your old apartment the next morning. You're not there anymore. Your mother cries the first time she sees you. She tells you God blessed you. She tells you this is a miracle. And then she asks for $2 million for her house and her sister's house and her neighbor's medical bills. You write her a check for $500,000 and put the rest in a trust she can access for medical care only. She doesn't speak to you for 8 months. The woman you were seeing, the one you didn't tell, reads about you in a magazine. She calls you 41 times in one afternoon. Her messages start as confused, become angry, and as threatening. She tells a tabloid you promised to marry her. They pay her $30,000 for the story. You have never proposed to anyone. You move. You buy a house in a different state under the name of an LLC that is owned by another LLC that is owned by the trust. The house has a fence, a gate, cameras, a panic room your security consultant insisted on. You live alone in 12,000 square feet. You eat dinner, standing up in the kitchen. You sleep in the smallest bedroom because the master feels like a stage. Your wealth manager puts you in a diversified portfolio. Municipal bonds, index funds, a small allocation to private equity, real estate trusts. You do not understand most of it. You sign where she tells you to sign. In the first year, The portfolio returns 4.1%. In a normal year, this would be called a failure. For you, it means $11.4 million in growth you do not know how to feel about. You spent $380,000 in that same year. You cannot tell if you are being careful or if you are just failing to imagine what money is for. The warning comes from a man named Gerald. He won $112 million in 2011. Your wealth manager knows him because he used to be her client. He is 63 now and lives in a 2-bedroom apartment in Tampa. He drives to see you. He sits at your kitchen counter and drinks water because he does not drink anymore. He tells you he went through $108 million in 7 years. He tells you about the house in Aspen and the plane he chartered, and the brother who stole $4 million from him, and the daughter who hasn't spoken to him in 9 years. He tells you he bought a casino in Nevada that he did not know was already bankrupt. He tells you the woman he thought he loved disappeared with a wire transfer one morning, and he still doesn't know if she was real. He says the money isn't the problem. He says the money is a mirror. He says it shows you who you were before you had it, and you will not like what you see. He finishes his water. He writes his phone number on a napkin. He tells you to call if the bad days come. You put the napkin in a drawer. You do not call him. You tell yourself you are different. You tell yourself you are careful. You have been telling yourself things like that your whole life. The bad days come in year 3. You cannot sleep without pills. You cannot eat in restaurants because people stare. You cannot date because you cannot tell when someone is interested in you or in the portfolio. You hired a woman once to help you test this. She pretended to meet you by accident at a charity gala your foundation was hosting. She ran background on you within 48 hours. She was a real estate agent from Dallas. She was married. She had 2 children. She was willing to leave all of it for a number on a screen. You never saw her again. You paid her $15,000 for the experiment. You did not feel clever. You felt sick. You start a foundation because your lawyers say you should. Literacy in your home state. You donate $40 million over 5 years. The foundation is run by professionals who tell you it is making a difference. You have never visited a classroom. You do not know the names of the children in the brochures. You sign the checks in a room that smells like new carpet. Your security consultant shows you the threat assessments every quarter. There are 7 credible threats in year 1, 12 in year 2, 9 in year 3. They are mostly men with guns and bad plans who post about you on forums you didn't know existed. 2 are arrested on the way to your house. One of them had your address on a piece of paper, your schedule, and a photograph of your mother. You send your mother to a country in Europe for 3 months. She does not speak the language. She calls you crying every night for 2 weeks. Then she stops calling. You do the inventory one morning, not on paper, in your head. Your brother does not speak to you. Your mother does not speak to you. The woman you didn't marry sued you for $4 million and settled for $600,000. You have not had a friendship that predates the ticket since month 4. You have 2 employees who are paid to be near you and 1 security consultant who sleeps in the guest house. You cannot remember the last time someone touched you without being paid to. You find the napkin in the drawer. Gerald, Tampa. You call the number. A woman answers. She tells you Gerald died 6 weeks ago. Heart attack in his sleep. She is his sister. She tells you she has been calling the numbers in his phone one by one. She asks if you were a friend. You say you only met him once. She says that's how most people describe him. She says he would have wanted you to know he was not lonely at the end. She says it in a voice that means the opposite. You sit at the counter for a long time after the call ends. You look at the kitchen, the one you live in now. 12,000 square feet of house around you. The refrigerator hums. The ice maker drops a new load of cubes into a bin you never open. The cameras on the walls blink their small red lights. You think about the kitchen floor on a Wednesday night at 11:47 p.m. Your legs that stopped working. The ticket you couldn't put down. The 2 hours of silence before you understood. You remember thinking that everything was about to begin. You were right. You just didn't know what. You were 41 years old. You were worth $294 million. You sleep in the smallest bedroom. You eat standing up. You do not know the name of anyone who would come to your funeral. You open the drawer where you keep the original ticket, the one the lottery commission never needed back. You look at the numbers. You wait to feel something. Nothing comes. You put the ticket back. You turn off the lights. You go upstairs. The house is very quiet. That's what scares you most. Not the threats, not the lawsuits, not the money. The quiet. How quickly the quiet became the only thing you recognize.